There's a very specific, a very modern kind of panic that I think we've all felt.
Hmm.
You're standing in the office break room, maybe waiting for the coffee machine, or you log into a Zoom call a couple minutes
Oh,
early.
that
That
silence.
silence, right? It gets a little thin, and then they look at you and they drop the absolute anchor of a question. So, how has your week been?
The dreaded check-in. It's the absolute staple of modern civilization.
Right. And on paper, it sounds so simple. It's 5 words, but my brain just like short circuits. I instantly forget everything that's happened to me for the last 7 days.
You forget your own name.
I forget my own name. I usually just stammer out, good, fine. And then pray for the meeting to start.
Well, it's completely normal. We treat that question like it's a throwaway line, just filler.
Yeah.
But it's actually a high-stakes social negotiation. You're signaling mood, availability, status, all of it in about 3 seconds.
Well, today we're going to solve that panic. We are going to fix small talk. And the source we're using to do it is a little unusual for us.
It is. It's not what people usually expect from a deep dive,
We aren't looking at a psychological journal or a CEO's memoir. We're looking at a script for a Learning English podcast.
which on the surface sounds pretty basic, but that's exactly why it's so fascinating.
It is. It's titled, How Has Your Week Been? And
Mhm.
it's for beginners. But when I read it, I realized this isn't just about grammar, it's a masterclass in social calibration.
Right.
It breaks down the mechanics of small talk in a way native speakers we never do. We're on autopilot.
And that's the value of it. These learning materials, they strip away all the assumption and nuance and just leave you with the raw architecture of communication.
Okay, so what's our mission?
Our mission for this deep dive is to deconstruct that weekly check-in. We're going to look at the hidden grammar of time, the emotional buckets we sort our lives into, and the specific formulas.
The cheat codes.
Literally, we have cheat codes that make this interaction fluid instead of painful.
I love a good cheat code. So let's start at the very beginning. The source analyzes the question itself. How has your week been?
Why does it spend so much time on just those few words?
Because the tense changes everything. It's not how was your week?
Right.
It's how has your week been?
That's the present perfect tense.
Exactly. And think about the difference. If I ask, how was your week? I'm using past simple.
Okay, so the week's over. Done.
It's a closed book. It feels like a debrief. But when I ask, how has it been? I'm bridging the past to right now.
So it implies we're still in it. The week's not quite finished.
Right. It suggests a journey that leads right up to this conversation. The source says the question is really digging for 5 things.
What are they?
Was it good, bad, busy, relaxing, or simply, what actually happened? It's an invitation to summarize a process.
Not just report a final score.
Exactly.
The source also mentions this technique called shadowing. It suggests listening to the question at slow speed.
How? How has your bullied week?
And then at normal speed. What's the point of that? Well, shadowing is a classic language tool, usually for pronunciation. But for our purposes, think of it as internalizing the rhythm. Social grace is so often about rhythm. When you shadow that question, you realize the emphasis usually lands on week or been. It sets a beat.
And if you miss that beat, that's where the awkwardness comes from.
Precisely. You answer too fast or too slow, or you answer a totally different question. You have to hear the music before you can dance.
Okay, so we hear the rhythm. We know they're asking for a summary of the journey. Now we have to answer. And this is where I usually crash and burn. But section 2 of our source provides what I'm calling the cheat codes. It lists 4 specific frameworks for answering.
And I love that they call them patterns, because that's what they are. You don't have to invent a novel sentence every time.
You just plug your reality into the right slot.
Exactly.
Let's break these down because I think picking the right pattern is a strategic choice. Pattern number 1 is the state of being.
The formula is, my week has been plus adjective.
Like, my week has been good. My week has been stressful. It feels a bit formal.
It's the formal option.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
complete. It mirrors the question perfectly. It's safe.
Dave, how?
It's the suit and tie of answers. If you're talking to your boss, or a client you don't know well. Pattern 1 is your shield. It's polite, clear, and it puts a little bit of distance there.
Okay, that's the shield.
Then pattern number 2 is the shorter option. It's been plus adjective.
It's been tiring. It's been fun. This is all about efficiency.
Right.
By dropping my week and just using you're signaling a slightly more casual vibe.
Yeah.
This is probably the one most of us use without even thinking.
It feels lighter. Like, my week has been stressful sounds like a formal complaint.
That's a great way to put it.
But it's been stressful sounds more like a comment on the weather.
It is. It distances you from the emotion. It treats the week as an object that's happening to you rather than something that's defining you.
Okay, now pattern number 3 is where it gets really interesting for me. This shifts the focus completely.
The formula is, I've been plus activity, so I've been working a lot, or I've been resting at home.
And this is a critical pivot. The first 2 patterns, they describe a feeling or a state.
Right.
This pattern describes an action.
So why would I choose action over feeling?
To create a hook. If I say, it's been good, the conversation just halts. There's nowhere for you to go with that.
Dead end.
Dead end. But if I say, I've been studying for exams or I've been painting my kitchen, I am handing you a conversation starter on a silver platter.
You're giving them a job to do. Here's a topic. Please ask me about it.
Exactly. If you want to talk about something or maybe complain about your workload, use pattern 3. It steers the ship.
And then finally, pattern number 4, I had plus event. So I had a busy week.
This one creates a container. I had a busy week, sums up the experience as a possession, something you held and dealt with.
It feels more final to me, like the week's already in the past.
It does. It separates you from the week.
Yeah.
If you say it's been stressful, you might still be stressed right now.
I see.
But if you say, I had a stressful week, it implies the stress is contained in that block of time. It's a subtle way of saying, I'm ready to move on.
So if you want to kill the conversation, stick with I had. If you want to chat, go with I've been.
Generally, yeah. The grammar you choose directs the flow.
Now, regardless of the pattern you pick, you need an adjective. And the source has this great vocabulary matrix.
I really appreciate how they categorize this. They don't just list words, they put them into emotional buckets. Positive, negative, and neutral.
The positive ones are what you'd expect. Productive, relaxing, easy. I actually really like easy.
It's a flex, isn't it?
My week has been easy. It sounds like you're totally in control.
It implies mastery. You are on top of your game.
And then you have the negative bucket, stressful, tiring, boring. And then there's difficult.
Difficult is a heavy word. That one stops the room.
Yeah.
If someone says, my week has been difficult, you can't just say cool and walk away. You have to stop and listen.
It's a vulnerability marker. You only use that if you actually want support.
Or if you really trust the person, yeah.
But I want to focus on the neutral words, the source lists.
Right.
Okay. Normal. Quiet.
The normal week.
Normal sounds so beige. Why would you want to claim to be normal?
You have to look at the context of modern life. We live in this world of constant overstimulation. Everyone's either crushing it or drowning.
Right.
In that landscape, normal or quiet is actually a power move.
A power move? How?
It signals stability. My week has been quiet can sound pretty enviable to someone whose week has been, stressful or chaotic.
That is a great reframe. So quiet isn't empty, it's peaceful.
It's drama-free. Exactly. Don't underestimate the appeal of a quiet week. It says, I am at peace.
So we have the grammar patterns, we have the vocabulary buckets, but theory is one thing. The source moves into real conversations in section 5.
These are basically case studies in social dynamics.
Let's look at scenario A, the workplace. James and Amina.
Okay.
James asks, how has your week been? And Amina says, it's been pretty busy, lots of meetings.
See what she did there. She used pattern 2.
It's
It's been busy.
and then followed up immediately.
And immediately followed up with pattern 4, lots of meetings, to justify it. It's a compound answer. She provided evidence.
And James's response is key. He says, I understand. My week has been busy too.
That's mirroring. In a workplace, you often want to match the energy level of your colleague.
Right.
If Amina is drowning and James says, "Oh, mine was super relaxing," he just breaks rapport. He looks tone deaf.
So by saying he's also busy, he builds solidarity. We're in the trenches together.
Exactly. But then, and this is the pivot, James shifts. "I'm preparing a presentation for Friday."
He moves the ball
He
forward.
does. He validated her, shared his state, and then gave a specific detail about his future. That is a perfectly constructed professional interaction.
Okay, contrast that with scenario B, the students, Lena and Marco. Marco says, "My week has been good, but a little stressful."
The yes but structure. This is so effective. You start positive, good, to be polite. That satisfies the social contract. But you add the qualifier, but a little stressful. To be authentic, it feels more honest.
And notice the cause he gives, studying for a math test.
Right.
Because he offered that specific detail, that little bit of vulnerability. What does Lena do?
She responds with empathy. "Good luck with your test."
If Marco had just said, "My week was good," Lena would have had nothing to say.
A dead end. By adding the stressor, he invited connection. It seems like the secret sauce here is giving the other person a clear role to play.
That's a great point. A conversation is a game of catch. You have to throw the ball so it's easy to catch.
That is a perfect analogy. You want to make the other person's life easy.
Which brings us to scenario C, friends. Sarah and Tom. Tom just drops the mic with, "Honestly, it's been amazing."
That word honestly does so much heavy lifting there.
It really does. It signals that he's breaking the standard script of fine or busy.
He's stepping out of the mundane. And his reason. He spent time with family and took a short trip. This is the highlight reel approach.
So with friends, you don't always need to commiserate.
No. Tom chooses to focus on the joy. It lifts the energy of the whole interaction. He's being generous, bringing good vibes to the table.
Okay, I want to zoom in on something the source calls Emily's week. This is in section 6. I really see it as a data processing challenge. This part blew my mind a little bit.
This is one of the most important lessons in the source, I think. Let's look at the raw data for Emily's week.
Okay, here's her reality. Monday, new project. Tuesday, long meeting. Wednesday, felt tired, slept early. Thursday, studied English for 2 hours. Friday, dinner with friends.
That's a lot of disparate information. You have work stress, physical fatigue, educational effort, social joy. It's a mess.
If Emily tried to list all of that, she'd sound manic. You know, that person who talks for 10 minutes while you slowly back away.
Well, Monday was okay, but Tuesday was long, and then Wednesday I was so tired. No, you can't do that.
So look at the synthesis. How does Emily answer?
She says, "My week has been busy, but I enjoyed it."
That's brilliant compression.
It is. Busy covers Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Enjoyed it covers the result of the studying and that Friday dinner.
What about sleeping early on Wednesday?
Deleted. It wasn't relevant to the headline story she wanted to tell.
So the lesson is, you're the editor of your own life. You take the raw footage and you cut it down to a headline.
Precisely. My week has been busy, but I enjoyed it. It invites questions, but it doesn't overwhelm. That is the goal. You aren't giving a deposition.
You're giving a trailer for the movie of your week.
That's it. Giving them the mood, not the minutes.
Speaking of headlines, the source has an expression of the day that I think we've all used. The expression is, "It's been a long week."
Yes. And as the source clarifies, this has nothing to do with time. Every week is 7 days.
But some weeks feel like a month.
Exactly. It's been a long week refers to emotional weight, a density of experience, usually tiring or stressful experience.
The source lists examples like a long week at work or a long week with the kids.
The code phrase. If someone says that, they're signaling they're running on empty.
They're asking for grace.
They're asking for grace. They're saying, "Please don't ask me to do anything difficult right now," or "Please be kind to me." It's a soft request for a timeout.
So we've covered how to answer, but a check-in is a two-way street. Section 4 covers common follow-up questions.
These are the return volleys. Did anything interesting happen? Do you have any weekend plans?
Did anything interesting happen is a bold question. It's a real roll of the dice.
It is, but it's high reward. If they say no, you move on. But if they say yes, you might hear a great story. It shows you're actually curious, not just being polite.
And do you have any weekend plans? That's the classic exit strategy.
It is. It moves the conversation to the future, which is usually more positive. It's also a clear signal that the conversation is winding down.
The off-ramp.
It's the polite way to say goodbye.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on one specific practice tip in Section 9. It's called role-play practice, but it includes a specific instruction. Pause for 10 seconds after a question is asked.
That 10-second pause is crucial. In real life, we are so afraid of silence. A 2-second gap feels like a social failure, so we rush to fill it with noise.
But this source reminds us that processing time is allowed.
If someone asks you, "How has your week been?" You don't have to fire back an answer in half a second. You can take a breath. You can even say, let me think.
That pause actually makes you look more confident, doesn't it?
It does. It shows you're actually considering the question, not just reciting a script. It makes your answer feel more genuine.
I love that. Silence is not the enemy. It's just buffering.
It's thinking. We should do more of it.
So what does this all mean? We've taken a simple English lesson and basically turned it into a social strategy guide.
We have. And I think the big takeaway is that structure creates freedom. It sounds contradictory, but it's true.
How so?
When you know the patterns, my week has been X, I've been doing Y, you stop worrying about how to construct the sentence.
And that frees up your brain to focus on what you actually want to share.
Exactly. It turns a stressful hurdle into a multiple choice question where all the answers are right. You just have to pick the one that serves your goal at that moment.
And it reminds us that the point of the question isn't to get a police report of your movements.
No.
It's to connect. Whether you choose it's been busy or it's been quiet, you're giving the other person a little window into your reality.
And that window is where the connection happens. It's not about the facts. It's about the feeling.
So here's my challenge to you, the listener. The source ends with a prompt, and I want you to actually do it right now. I'm going to ask you the question. Don't just think it. Say it out loud.
Use one of the patterns. It's been. I've been. Pick your adjective. Be honest.
Ready? Here we go. How has your week been? Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.